Hello, YouTubers. I'm not an expert. Today, I want to talk about my most patriotic planes, because it's Independence Day. These are World War II Stanley WWII planes, World War II production. And I want to give a little thanks to Tungsten Carbide 2437, because he gave me a little more info to work with in describing the features and identifying what I've got. So what makes a Stanley plane a World War II plane? Well, during the war, of course, there had to be cutbacks and various things, so there were some feature changes, as usual. So let's go over the ones I know about. There are probably more, but we'll start with the basics. First is the wood. This is the most obvious one. Now you can see here I have 3 World War II era Stanley planes, and they all have slightly different wood. This is some kind of hardwood. I thought it was rosewood, but I've taken a better look, and the grain pattern's all wrong. So it's some kind of hardwood stained brown. This one has hardwood, also stained brown, but a little fancier looking. And this one is painted black. And if we look at the handles, turn them around a little bit. Are they still on camera? Good. So you can see this one's still fairly nice. This is a number 3. This is a 4.5 with the painted, and the top of it has no paint at all. And it feels, it's kind of soft and fuzzy, like maybe beech, but boy, it feels softer than that, like almost like a poplar-like feel, but it doesn't look like poplar. And then this one is just dark, and I don't know what's going on with it. So it feels good, though. It's nice. They're nice handles. So that's the first feature that's changed. For wartime cutbacks, couldn't import rosewood, so they used whatever hardwood they could come up with. The second feature, as I just turned them all around the wrong way, that's very obvious, is the adjustment knob. You see that all right? Yeah. The adjustment knobs are hard rubber over a steel nut. Okay, I'll get in there close. Hard rubber. And the hard rubber is a lot like, almost like Bakelite. Bakelite's a plastic, but hard rubber is very dense and plastic-like. And that was used, of course, to save brass. Brass was in high demand during the war. Brass was in everything. Not just bullet casings, but, you know, radios and airplanes and ships all have brass parts. So you couldn't use it anywhere you didn't have to. So the steel to replace that and the plastic knob. Now, if you're looking for these used, I have seen some where the knobs are quite beat up and cracked. And that'll happen. So something to look out for. Okay. But wartime expediency. The next feature, it's a little less obvious, but still pretty obvious. We'll see if we can get in here, show it to you. There's no frog adjustment screw. Sometimes. This one does have a frog adjustment screw. See that there? And as was pointed out to me by a kindly YouTuber, sometimes they were using up old parts from pre-war. So this one got the frog adjustment screw. These two did not. Now the frog adjustment screw really isn't necessary. It's kind of a luxury feature. It makes adjusting the frog back and forth easier, but you can still adjust the frogs back and forth without it. The next feature, let's see, we talked about the wood and the adjustment knob, and the frog adjustment screw. The next feature is a little bit hard to see, and that is that the castings are heavier. They're thicker right through here. You can see it if you hold them up next to each other. Of course, I didn't bring out another plane, so I can't show you. They're just slightly thicker. The story I read was that the frog adjustment screw and the thicker castings weren't so much cost-cutting as those made production easier because they had a lot of new employees in the factory, as a lot of the other workers had gone off to fight in the war. Is that true? I don't know. I read it on the internet, but it's probably part of it to make things easier to make. Now, some people like that because it gives it more mass. Some people like a heavy plane. Other people like a lighter plane. So another thing you could think about if you're out plane shopping. World War II one's a little heavier. Of course, this is a 4.5, so it's a lot heavier than a 4. This is a little old 3. Pretty neat. All right, the next feature that I'm aware of, the nut or the screw. This is actually a screw instead of a nut on a threaded rod, and it's all steel instead of a steel rod with a brass nut. Again, saving brass. Those are the differences. So these are the planes that would have been used to make homes and furniture and office buildings and all those things that were still in production during the war, and of course all the wartime stuff. Now these all seem to be in really good condition, so I don't know what they got used for. Maybe they sat on a shelf. Anyway, that's just a little piece of history and a little piece of my collection. Oh, and one more odd thing. This is just kind of I think, a coincidence. This knob and this knob, these two, they have a groove on the back of the knob. This one does not. But if I looked carefully, and I doubt I can show it to you, then the groove's on the other side. I just assumed somebody was pressing these together in some kind of a press, pressing the rubber piece onto the steel, and someone put one on backwards. Or put two on backwards. I don't know which way it's supposed to go. It doesn't matter. They all work. All right, well, that was pretty brief. Happy Independence Day. Watch some fireworks. Be kind to your neighbors. We'll catch you later.